Thank you, Chris. Well, Mel, you played Andre Agassi 6 times over your career, and I guess one of the questions one would ask if anybody has played him is, are you surprised at all at the high level he still exhibits at the age of 33?
Well, 33 years old, and you could argue that he's playing some of the best tennis of his career, so I'm never surprised when great athletes do great things. But you look early in his career, he relied so much on his talent and maybe not so dedicated. But later in his career, one of the things that has carried him to the #4 player in the world last year and where he is right now is his dedication to the game and his conditioning. And really that's shown really in the last couple of years. He's won as many majors since the age of 30 as he did prior to. And you look at his first-round match against Todd Larkham. In that match, he gets through it pretty easily, but so much of his tennis is relied upon by how close he plays to the baseline. He has no problem whatsoever running down balls. You see the backhand pass right there against Larkham, who's approaching, and here Larkham on the bottom of the screen, and the big forehand by Agassi. Right now, he is relying on his conditioning and his ability to wear his players down, and that's what he did in this first-round match against Larkham.
Well, one would think that youth might prevail in terms of physical conditioning. He's got an 18-year-old against him today. 22 consecutive match wins here at the Australian Open. Believe me, you can know that Tomas Berdych knows that, he certainly knows that that Andre Agassi is still very much in great shape, and the wheels are not those of a 33-year-old. As we look at Andre warming up here, final serves, preparing for his match against Tomas Berdych of the Czech Republic, ranked number 116 in the world. Qualifier just got to be thrilled to be out there against Andre.
Well, I think he is pretty thrilled. This is the biggest occasion of Tomas's career right now. He's 18 years old. He's never played on stadium court at a major. He's never played a guy with the status of Andre Agassi. There's a good chance he had a poster of Agassi on his bedroom wall when Andre Agassi was winning Grand Slams. 18 years old, 6'4", but this guy's very talented. Watch out for his serve and his forehand. He says those are his biggest weapons in his game right now. But if you look back to last year, this is a guy in the last couple of years who has moved his ranking up over 800 spots just to get to this point.
Mainly his successes, of course, on the Challenger circuit, as you saw on the graphic there, just 4 matches at the ATP level. But nonetheless, an opportunity for him to show what he has. Here he is on Rod Laver against the defending champion, Andre Agassi. He's going to bring what we know by people telling us about he's got a big serve, and a 6'4" kid, you can imagine that. But against the best returner in the world.
The best returner in the world, and I think the thing for Tomas Berdych right now is he's going to have to control his emotions. He's never been in this situation, and I'm interested to see how he's going to react. And a lot of times when players, when they're out in this situation for the first time in their career, they can come out scared, they can come out nervous, and he's going to remember this moment for the rest of his career. And I think it's moments like these that can go a long ways towards how he's going to react to these situations the rest of this year and on into the rest of his career.
Former Czech junior champion, a title that the great Ivan Lendl held when he was 18 years old. And he opens with serve. In his first-round match, he defeated Nicolas Mahut from France.
Love 15.
And that's long, love 15.
It's going to be very important for Berdych to get off to an early start in this match. Andre Agassi, and you just mentioned it, one of the best parts of his game is the return of serve. Best part of Tomas's game is that serve right there. He missed the first serve there, but that's where he's going to have to be effective today.
Love 30.
So Berdych getting the first licks back there, a sense of that service return from Andre Agassi. And I guess the question could be asked, with the great experience that Andre has, how long does it take him against a player he's never seen before, may not even have heard of, to get a feel for that guy's serve and be able to come up with those typical Agassi returns?
Well, Andre's one of those guys. He's such a natural talent. So many times, he's a guy that could probably not pick up a racket for a couple of months and beat the majority of the guys on the tour because he has such good hand-eye coordination and he can pick up the ball so well.
3 break points in the opening game against an obviously nervous Tomas Berdych.
And that return right there showed you how already Agassi is on the serve.
Game, Agassi.
Well, Well, no problem for Andre Agassi against an obviously still somewhat nervous 18-year-old from the Czech Republic, but the young man will have a chance to settle in here in this second round match on the men's side. Best 3 of 5 sets. 6'4", Tomas Berdych.
Tim, one of the things Andre does so well is he knows the occasion and the importance of the occasion he's in. He knows Tomas Berdych has never been in a situation like this. And I think back to last year's final. On the first point of the match, he had a second serve return, and he crushes a forehand just to send a message to Rainer Schüttler what he can expect. And I think he was trying to send a message in that first game to Berdych. This is what you can expect. You can expect me to come at you.
Straight set victory in his opening round against Todd Larkham, the veteran Australian player. Wide. 2 grueling weeks it takes to win this title. You know that Andre Agassi would love to get by in another 3-setter here. $15 love. That was good stuff from Berdych.
To get on the board for the first time in the match. That's his first point. And he credits his backhand and forehand, or his serve and forehand as his best shot. But take a look at that backhand approach.
I think Agassi got the paint at the end of the service line there. The ball skipping away from Berdych. 30-15.
See, what's going through Berdych's mind right now is he's saying, I just need to get on the board. I need to get a game just to relax a little bit, because he's pretty nervous. He's been looking forward to moments like this his entire career, even before he turned professional. And when you find yourself in this position that he is in, playing on the stadium court, Rod Laver Arena at a major, it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
Agassi.
Forehand error, and Agassi to 2 love here in the first set. Service back to the big young man from the Czech Republic, and this is where Berdych will no doubt try to do his best to get something on the board before he is overwhelmed by the defending champion.
Well, for him, for Berdych, it's going to start with his first serve. He's got to get the first serve in. And for him, in this game, he needs to get a couple of free points. If he can get an ace, a couple of service winners, that's going to go a long ways towards helping him out. See, a lot of times you come out on center court or come out in the match and your opponent gives you a few free points and you can get an early game under your belt. But Agassi's the type who can start so quickly, and from the first point of the match already has his timing because he's warm up and he's so prepared. He doesn't give you those free points very often.
$15
15 all. That ball long from Berdych. Bright sunny skies here in Melbourne this morning. A little cooler day than yesterday. It was up at 90 degrees. So far today, considerably cooler. Won't see Andre miss that very often, that deadly backhand. In good position to hit it.
I remember talking to his previous coach, Brad Gilbert, once, and he was telling me about Andre. And he says Andre's a guy who likes to punish players. Doesn't matter if he's out there on the court with a guy who's never been out on stadium court. He wants his opponent to feel his game and to feel his presence out there.
13.
And a bit of a dangerous moment here right now for Tomas Berdych because, 30-15 there, the backhand miss, now 30 all. I mean, a big point for him. He does not and cannot afford to go down a couple of breaks of serve.
Agassi just pinning him in the corner, making him hit as many as it took. And finally drawing the error, and another break point, Agassi. Chance to get up 3-love here in the first set. 18-year-old from the Czech Republic, Tomas Berdych.
It's frustrating for Berdych because we've seen a couple of big backhands from him, but the points that he's won, it's usually, when Agassi misses. And from his standpoint, he's waiting for Agassi to miss just to win points. I mean, that's a tough way to win a match.
Well, especially against Agassi, who's not going to give you too many unforced errors. That's wide. So Andre Agassi quickly into a 3-love lead here in the opening set. We'll be back at Melbourne Rod Laver Arena in a moment.
Lead. Evo's played 5 straight tiebreak sets. We're checking what the record is. We'll keep you posted. Tim, Mal?
Right. Andre Agassi serving now, up 3-love here on Rod Laver Arena's stadium court.
Out.
Tomas Berdych, 18-year-old from the Czech Republic, his opponent. Love 15.
An overrule there from the chair umpire. Shot spot says that ball was just on the back of the line, so a bad overrule by the chair umpire, Pasquale Marie of France.
Ooh, miss hit there by Berdych.
15 all.
15 all. He's 18. He's got the face of about a 12-year-old. Handsome young guy from the Czech Republic, and regardless of the outcome of the match, which is probably predetermined, the extent of the experience Agassi brings as defending champion, what a thrill for this kid to get this opportunity.
And there's a positive point from Berdych from the baseline. That's where Andre Agassi is most comfortable, and obviously that's where Berdych is most comfortable because we haven't seen him make his way to the net, but the few points so far that he's been able to win from the baseline.
Won't go.
30 all.
30 all. Darren Cahill, Australian, who is the coach of Andre Agassi, following Brad Gilbert in that role. And of course, Gilbert now with Andy Roddick.
And Darren Cahill previously with Leighton Hewitt, helping Leighton Hewitt get to the #1 spot in the world.
40-30.
Big serve from Andre Agassi. I guess one can fairly ask, why would Andre Agassi need a coach of any distinction as Cahill has with all of his success? And now it might be interesting to hear what kind of role he actually plays. He's obviously not teaching him shots, or probably not even teaching him strategy. What is he contributing to Andre's success?
Well, I will tell you one thing. As you see Andre Agassi 4-love, Leighton Hewitt had a pretty good record against Andre Agassi. He had beaten him a handful of times while he was with Darren Cahill, and now Cahill with Agassi. I guarantee you, and I'm just thinking back to semifinals at the U.S. Open not long ago, where Agassi was in the semifinal against Hewitt, and he beat him to get to the final. I guarantee you he gave a lot of tips on how to beat Leighton Hewitt and the things that he was working on with Leighton Hewitt.
15-love for Berdych.
But I think for Darren Cahill, the thing he's going to try to impress upon Agassi
15 over.
is Agassi knows how to play the game, and he has obviously seen Andre play many, many times. He wants to just make sure Agassi continues to stick with the game plan. He'll help Agassi produce a game plan prior to every match, and then make sure he sticks to it. Because as a player, sometimes you'll find yourself out there on the court and you get into little habits that you don't want to get into. Whether it's getting a little defensive. I mean, Agassi is a player who always wants to be offensive. So he'll just keep putting it in his head. Make sure you stay offensive when you're out there. Take it to your opponents.
Second double fault by Berdych has him at 15-30.
Oof.
Pretty good movement for a 6'4" player. But Agassi, of course, can just jerk him around from side to side as he does to everybody else. 2 break points. Andre Agassi can get to 5 love here.
Game, Agassi.
Cut that just enough for Berdych to lose his timing. And it's 5 love for Andre Agassi, the defending champion, in control here at Rod Laver Arena. Andre Agassi will serve for the first set against Tomas Berdych, an 18-year-old ranked number 116 in the world. Won 3 matches in the qualifying to get to this opportunity against Agassi. And Escudé of France. Straight set victory this morning over Soderling of Sweden.
Well, Berdych there, just fortunate to get that point. Andre had control
Love 15.
that entire point. And somehow Berdych produced a drop shot out of it and got away with it.
Love 15. Agassi serving very cleanly here in this first set. Oh, rare error there for Agassi. Got to the ball,
Love 13.
netted it. Love 30.
One of the things I've noticed thus far in this first set is how Andre has opted not to go for the big serve at all.
That's wide.
He's been very content just using that kick serve. That one, he went out wide, but he's been just using that kick serve, getting the point started. You know, so many guys out there want to go with the big serve to get the free point. He's very content to get the free point played from the baseline.
Well, he's been getting free games too, so he hasn't had to worry about too many free points.
So it's working.
It's working. That's long.
30 all.
All 2 points from the first set for the defending champion.
40-30.
And now a set point. Agassi obviously loves Melbourne and the Australian Open.
Back to the USA, and now Todd Martin, who came from 2 sets down at 4-all in the third, and 2-set lead for Martin and 2 tiebreaks. And Agassi just absolutely cruising. He's one of the greatest starters, if not the greatest starter of matches, Chris, that I've ever seen. He comes out always ready. He's hitting the ball so cleanly, which really benefits him on this surface with the good high, clean bounce that comes off this rebound ace court. And Berdych, obviously, very nervous in his first appearance on a grand stage.
Well, there's not much the young Czech can do if Andre has even the C+ game.
Yeah. You know, and Andre, look, he's always prepared for this tournament. He loves to have a good extended break so he can really focus in on his fitness. He's one of those players that doesn't need to practice that much tennis. And when I say that, Chris, I mean because his timing is so good, because his ball striking is so good, and obviously because he's been out there so long, as long as he's physically fit and prepared and he can do the work with his trainer, Gil Reyes, in Vegas for the last 2 months, not playing a tournament other than the Tennis Masters Cup since the U.S. Open, it just really allowed him to work on that fitness level. And then when he comes down here, you know, obviously he plays a lot of practice matches. He gets a good warm-up week at the Kooyong event, which is an exhibition just before this tournament to fine-tune his strokes.
Talk to Gil Reyes. Andre does some unusual kind of training. He does a lot of heavy weightlifting, and Gil said it was important for Andre, just his mindset, to set a personal record with the bench press. He benches 315. Now, you wouldn't think that's important for a tennis player, but his legs look more bulked up to me than a year ago as well.
His legs do look stronger. He does a lot of hill work, a lot of squats in the gym, and you're right. Having a bigger bench press probably doesn't matter for Agassi for his game, but what it matters for is his mind. Agassi again controlling the center of the court and just continuing to roll. Now 7-love for Agassi, an early break in the second set. Well, back in 2001, Agassi holding the trophy here again, winning at that time was his 3rd Australian Open title. And let's remember, he didn't even come and play down under for the first half of his career. Imagine how many Australian Open titles Agassi would have, winning again in 2003, pulled out in 2002 with that wrist injury just before the 2002 Australian Open was set. So it's been, as we've talked about, since '99, and Agassi has last lost a match in this tournament.
And he's been dominant, but to be fair, on the route to last year's title, the draw kind of collapsed around him. He had a very easy draw, played only 1 seed, and that was Sebastian Grosjean, dropped only 1 set in the entire tournament. And the draw is pretty favorable in this year's Australian Open as well. You would have potential opponents like Gustavo Kuerten, who won the first set of his match against Ljubicic, and perhaps Perdon Srichaphan, Escudé down the road, but pretty easy draw.
Pretty easy, but you know it's always tough because of you never know how the guy's going to come out first tournament of the season, and with Agassi you know that, and somehow I think with Roddick in his section of the draw, potentially in the semifinals, he's not going to walk to the title as he did last year.
I was talking about the draw to the semis, not an easy semifinal. Back inside to Tim and Mal.
Okay, guys, well, we're in the second set here with Andre Agassi.
15-all.
Serving at 15-all here, having won the first game with another break. Has yet to drop a game to the youngster from the Czech Republic, Tomas Berdych.
30-15.
Berdych not so sure about that non-call on the sideline. And this is what Andre Agassi could potentially face. Thomas Enquist, a past finalist here back in 1999. Maybe Srichaphan in the round of 16. Potentially Roger Federer.
40-15.
Well, and that grinder Grosjean is always dangerous too. He plays the same kind of a game as Agassi, and great legs, and will stay out there and hit a million balls. So yeah, he's got some tough opponents ahead.
I mean, Grosjean, a guy who's beaten him a couple of times, in fact. So very easy today, but a long ways from the title.
40-15. Shot from Berdych. Keeps himself in this game. Coming up
40-30.
following this match on the Rod Laver Arena court, it'll be Andy Roddick against Bodan Ulirak coming next in second round action. Americans in the limelight here today at Rod Laver Arena.
Yeah, Agassi.
Late on that one was Berdych, and Agassi now is up 2-love. Here in the second set, having won the first 6-love.
You know, when Tomas Berdych walks out on the court for this match, he has his game plan in his mind, or what he thinks he wants to do. But now, having lost the first 8 games of the match and has only won 12 points in the match to Agassi's 32, he's just trying to get on the board. I mean, he's so tight right now. He just wants anything. He's just trying to get some free points on his serve. He just needs to get on the board just so he can loosen up a little bit. In that last game, we saw that big backhand down the line. But we haven't seen enough of that.
Sails that long, and
15-0.
he's unhappy with it. On the Challenger circuit last year, his first year out on the Pro Tour, he was 25-10, but he's had only 4 matches at this level, and 2-2, and of course came through the qualifying round here to get in. So see the footwork of Andre Agassi. It does look like those legs are bulked up a little more, working hard with Gil Reyes. As if he would need to have stronger legs because he has moved so well on them for so long, the way they were.
So many unforced errors from Berdych. 18 on the match, and that's a typical match for Agassi. Only 5 thus far.
An ace for Berdych. That gets a little more generous applause from the crowd.
And he stepped up the heat on that one. 203 Ks, 127 mile an hour,
Yeah.
27 miles an hour.
Of course, radar gun giving us that info and boost of confidence for Berdych. And there he's finally on the board. His first game victory, making it 2-1 Agassi second set. Agassi won the first 6-love. Agassi 6-love, 2-1 against Tomas Berdych, the 18-year-old from the Czech Republic.
You know, this is the placement of where Andre Agassi's shots are going. The majority of them are going to the backhand side of his opponent Berdych. You might look at this match and say, oh, you know, Andre Agassi, he's, you know, taking care of him. This is where Berdych is hitting the ball. He's just hitting the ball all over the place, not any specific spot he's trying to pick on Agassi.
Berdych finally able to get on the board here last game. Now smacking those last 2 shots, a little more authority.
Now that's a big forehand from Berdych. But what I was saying before is, you know, a fan might be just watching this match and saying, oh, you know, Andre's able to do whatever he wants. But even at 6-love, 2-1, there's the big forehand. You know, at 2-1, Andre is still working his game plan, which is to work over the backhand of Berdych.
Agassi's forehand long.
Block 30.
Up 30.
You know, when you were talking earlier about, you know, what benefit does Darren Cahill, Agassi's coach, bring? Well, it's Darren Cahill's job to go find out what this guy does. Andre Agassi's never seen the guy play before. Probably couldn't pick him out of a 2-man lineup. Okay, so that's Darren Cahill's job. Hey, play to this guy's backhand. He has a good serve, has a good forehand. Play to this guy's backhand. That's where we think we can have success.
Good serve down the center line, setting up that drive from Agassi. 30-all. Berdych looks a little more relaxed here now as he finally got that first game, as you said, so key to a youngster like that. Very aware of this moment that he's in here with Agassi on Rod Laver Arena Stadium court. Forehand winner down the line.
Now that is why, I mean, the tennis we've seen in the last couple of games, and with that winner there, I mean, that's why this guy has moved up over 800 spots on tour in the last couple of years.
Yes.
You know, people look at this match and say, wow, I mean, this guy's getting demolished out here. But at 18 years old, there are a lot of guys who would like to be in this position. Here's the winners to errors differential for Agassi compared to Berdych. Minus 17, or excuse me, minus 13 for Berdych on that. A lot more errors than he has on winners and shot spot. Showing that ball right on the line. Berdych taking a long look at it.
Agassi wiping out the only break point Berdych has had in the match so far. And he gets it back to deuce.
Yes. Advantage
That's a
Agassi.
game point for Andre. Well done.
Now that serve, that's a typical serve that Andre likes to hit on a lot of guys. He'll do that on one-handed backhanded players and two-handed backhanders. But Berdych, standing 6'4", steps right up on the baseline, cracks that winner.
Advantage Agassi.
So Agassi holds to 3-1 here in the second set, having won the first 6 love against Tomas Berdych. DirecTV or the Dish Network today.
What about the Big Ten? Where's the Big Ten games?
Well, they say the Duke Blue Devils, top team in the country. A familiar spot for Coach K.
Tim, as you watch these baseline points, take a look at where Andre Agassi stands. And here's a look at shot spot, seeing that ball well beyond the baseline. But Berdych stands at 6'4", and you think, and he's a pretty big guy. He wants to take advantage of the short ball, maybe get in a little bit, control points. But it's actually him who's standing a good 5, 6, 7 feet behind the baseline. And Agassi's the one who's either right on the baseline or a step from the baseline.
It's his familiar territory, another double fault. You played him 6 times in your career. Mal, what made him, looking at it from the opponent's point of view, what made him so difficult to beat? And did you alter your strategy over those 6 games trying to do so?
Well, I'll tell you right after this point. Fortunately, I played Agassi during some of his up and down streaks.
There's a good backhand from Berdych.
But against Agassi, you got to know you're going to have to work very hard because he's a player that has such good hand-eye coordination and such good timing. And look at that second serve. He's 2 steps inside the baseline on that second serve right there. And so you know you were going to have to work, and he was going to work you around because he's a guy who likes to punish his opponents. But back in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, he was a player you could frustrate a little bit if you hung around long enough. See that right there, that backhand? I mean, Berdych crushes an overhead right at Agassi, right down the middle, in fact, hoping Agassi's going to pick one way or the other. I mean, that's just hand-eye coordination. Not every player has that ability. But back in the 90s, you could always sometimes question Agassi's commitment during a match.
And break point saved. A nice volley by Berdych. So it sounds like you're saying that the biggest part of his game that's made him the champion he is today at age 33 is really more of a maturation and a better emotional and mental attention to his game, more so than just the physical side.
Absolutely. From the day he turned pro, he had the strike ability on the ball.
Game Agassi.
And Agassi, another break. 4 games to 1 up a set. Kangaroos and koalas, they're around. Agassi, 6 love, 4-1 in the second set against Tomas Berdych. Second round action, and look at this lineup here. I mean, it's quite an extraordinary. All of his numbers are extraordinary.
58 career titles for Agassi, 8 of the majors. Yevgeny, who's not here, and maybe on his way off the tour, 26 titles. Leighton Hewitt, Gustavo Kirten in there. I mean, a lot of guys would, throughout the course of their career, would just love to have 1 or 2 titles. I mean, that just shows how exceptional of a talent of a player Andre Agassi is. And I mean, it shows in what he's meant to the game of tennis. I mean, tennis would be completely different today if he had never been around for the last 15 years. But Tim, back to what we were saying right before the changeover, Agassi's always had the ability to strike the ball very well, but it's really been in the last maybe 5 years that he has completely committed himself and every day of the year to getting better and to his profession, which is playing tennis. And I think Gil Reyes, his trainer for a good 15 years now, has gone a long ways to making him understand that. Making him understand that you have a limited amount of time on tour. You squandered some of that talent. Let's see how many titles, let's see how many Grand Slams we can win these last few years on tour.
Doesn't seem so long ago that he was being criticized for not being in shape. He's come a long way since then now, where it's just like a religion, literally, for him to be physically fit. And certainly marrying Steffi Graf, who was the greatest example you could choose, certainly in the top 3 or 4 of physical fitness on the women's side. He's not able to take any days off being around Steffi, I don't think.
Well, I think back in 1992 when Agassi won Wimbledon, he won Wimbledon just on sheer talent. You know, he's like those young guys who come into the NFL or come in the NBA who have raw talent, but you have to mold them a little bit. And he won a couple of majors in 92 and 94, but it wasn't until after his long dive on tour back down to 140 in the world, it wasn't until after that that he really realized, you know what, I can't just rely on my natural talent. I have to work at this and be dedicated to it.
Berdych to 30 love.
And it wasn't until 1999 that he actually reached #1 and stayed there for the year end.
3 aces now for the youngster from the Czech Republic.
You see that right there? That's not something you can teach. I mean, you teach a guy how to hit a forehand, but most guys can't hit it like that. Here's the career Grand Slam leaders. Obviously, Pete Sampras at 14, but look at Andre at 8. 3 of those, or 3 others with 8, I should say.
Good serve right at the body, and in comes the youngster to finish it off.
You know, people sometimes forget. It looks like there's a big gap between Pete and Andre in Grand Slams won, but you know, a couple of those finals that Pete won, specifically the 1990 U.S. Open, Wimbledon back in, I guess it was about 98, actually 99.
99.
He beat Agassi.
Yeah.
Well, another ace is 4th, and Berdych wins his 2nd game of the match. Down a set. Little idea of that Grand Slam dominance. 14 titles to Pete Sampras, 8 for Andre Agassi. Look at the records. Not a lot to choose from in there. 5 Grand Slam finals. Sampras won 4 of them and held a career head-to-head battle between them. Such a shame to have Pete go away and not have the rivalry continue, but great to still have this great champion, Andre Agassi, taking on the youngsters these days.
Right. Well, you know, every rivalry at some point is going to come to the end, and that's really the biggest rivalry, you know, since when they first played in their first major final in 1990 at the U.S. Open, where Agassi was expected to win, the heavy favorite, but did not. But I tell you, Tim, it's amazing that Andre Agassi is still out here. Here's a guy who turned pro at 16 years old. Back in like 86, he turned pro, and now still a top 5 player.
One of the longer rallies of the match, and this time it's Berdych's point.
That's 15.
You know, another thing that's remarkable about Andre still being out on tour, and you see this match just 45 minutes old, is he's not a guy that has a big serve. A lot of big servers, you think they can get a lot of free points. He has to work for every point that he wins. I mean, he's working it from the baseline. There are a lot of other baseliners who have come and gone in the last few years, and Andre's, you know, Michael Chang has come and gone, Jim Courier, but Agassi's still out there with the same game.
Couple of set points here to go up 2 sets to love. Ooh, just caught him flat-footed there with that drive. And Andre Agassi up 2 sets to love against Tomas Berdych of Czechoslovakia here on the second round of this men's action at the Rod Laver Arena.
A minute ago, Todd Martin closes out Ivo Karlovic in a 3rd consecutive tiebreak. So Karlovic beats Fish in 3 tiebreaks,
wow,
loses to Todd Martin, who you might recall in his first-round match came from 2 sets down, had to win a pair of tiebreaks to get through that first-round match. He wins 3 this afternoon. He's on into the 3rd round.
Amazing how Todd Martin keeps on going and coming back from that 2-set deficit in the opening round, winning in 5. And giving Ivo a taste of his own medicine. The guy didn't lose serve in 2 matches and didn't break serve in 6 matches. So Todd Martin moves on to round number 3 in those 3 tie-break sets.
That was out on court 18. It's not a television court, so unfortunately we couldn't take you there. But Todd Martin on into round 3. Tim, Mal?
15 all here now as we open the 3rd set with the youngster from the Czech Republic, 18-year-old Tomas Berdych against Andre Agassi, defending champion.
30-15.
30-15.
Hopefully for Berdych's sake, he can start off this 3rd set holding serve. That's something he wasn't able to do in set number 1 and set 2. So the whole match he's been climbing uphill.
That's your
30 all at 6-love, 6-2, and opening game of the 3rd. Andre Agassi in command against the qualifier. Had to win 3 matches in that tough qualifying tournament. Not against any name opponents, of course, but nonetheless a good job by the youngster to get himself into the main draw and have this opportunity against the defending champion on the stadium court. 6'4", 18-year-old, 25-10 record on the Challenger circuit. His first year out as a professional, and just 2-2 on the ATP circuit. Sure, you'll be hearing more of this young guy. He's got some talent, just obviously overwhelmed by the great champion Andre Agassi.
yeah, Agassi.
Getting a little madder at each of his own errors as the match has gone on, and broken again.
Well, I think what's going on is he finds himself in an overwhelming situation, and he's been looking forward to this matchup since the draw came out, and he comes out and he's not playing that good of tennis. First serve percentage on the match, 49%. But at some point in your career, I mean, this is what players dream about. I kind of think back to 1990. I mean, the only time, I guess the first time I was in a big situation like this, it was a tournament in New Haven, Connecticut, where I was ranked about 100 in the world and took on Yvonne Lendl, who was ranked 2 in the world. I mean, in that situation, for whatever reason, I came out on top and never had a win again over Lendl. But I mean, it's a very stressful situation because part of you has a game plan that you want to employ when you're out there, but a part of you is saying, okay, let's not get blown off the court. I mean, you can't help but have that in your head. You're saying, you know, let's just get a few games under my belt. You know, I don't want to get blown off the court like I've seen Andre do to so many players.
You mentioned Lendl, this youngster Tomas Berdych, the Czech junior champion, and that's a title that Lendl held in his homeland. Then still Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic. Berdych, a big hockey fan, in fact, has gotten a chance to meet some of the Czech stars in the NHL, like Jaromir Jagr and Dominik Hasek.
From his standpoint, and I'm speaking of Berdych, you know, he knew Andre Agassi was going to come out and he was going to probably play a pretty solid match, hit a lot of winners and some spectacular winners, which we have seen. So it makes him want to sometimes do more than he really can do. And so I think from his standpoint, he can't go out there. He can't say, well, you know, I want to match Agassi, you know, stroke for stroke, power for power, power for power. He just has to think about the basics. One of the basics is, and here's taking a look at Andre Agassi's footwork and his hand-eye there. So you can't teach that right there.
And Agassi just cruises to that love game victory.
But one of the basics for Berdych is his first serve percentage, one of his strengths. Here's another look at this. Andre gets caught in no man's land. You don't want to get caught there, but I guess when you're Agassi, you can, and it's not really going to make a difference. But Berdych here, his first serve percentage on the match is 49%. That is one of his strengths. He's counting on that to get him through some of these games. It's not working today. He's got to get a higher percentage in to get some free points off of his serve, including some aces.
Agassi went for a racket change. Hustles back out.
A racket change, going to a fresh racket with every ball change. Agassi does. Yvonne Lendl was the first player I can remember who really started doing that, with every ball change going to a freshly strung racket, which means you have to walk out there with 6 or 8 rackets freshly strung.
5th ace for Berdych.
112 on the Porsche radar gun on that previous serve.
Solid forehand there for the winner. 30 love. No mistake there by the youngster. 40 love. Well, you know, he'll leave here remembering the good shots he made against Agassi. No doubt regretting the errors, but there's another ace, number 6. He'll have that to take away from this experience, and it's 2-1 Agassi in the third, up 2 sets. It's always fun to see that transformation on the top of his head, as you see over the years from all that long hair. But more important to Andre, right here in the career Grand Slam, winning all 4 majors, Andre Agassi right there in that illustrious group where he belongs.
Yeah, Roy Emerson at the top there. You saw he had 12 major titles. Obviously, Rod Laver winning all 4 majors in the same year a couple of times.
Agassi
Don Budge, Fred Perry.
4 Australian championships, 2 U.S. Opens, 1992 Wimbledon, and the 1999 French.
I think if you ask Andre what was so, you know, looking back on all of those majors, which one he appreciated the most, and you see coming up after this match, Andy Roddick taking on Bodan Ulirak. I think Roddick would, or excuse me, Agassi would say his French Open title in 1999, coming back from 2 sets down to Andre Medvedev.
Yeah, that was a very dramatic championship, and he's played a lot of them.
You know, I was talking to last year. I was talking to Gil Reyes at the French Open right before Andre lost to Guillermo Coria, and there's Gil right there. And he said, you know, when he was down 2 sets to love, I yelled out to Andre, just trust your legs. And basically he's saying, hey, we have put in a ton of training back home. Trust your legs; they'll last for you.
What a great relationship.
30-15.
That call being questioned by Berdych.
And Shot Spot says that ball is right on the line. Not. You know, we just mentioned on Andy Roddick is coming up right after this match, having won his first major just last year at the U.S. Open.
What lies ahead for him?
Yeah, well, you know, you listen to Andy talk, and he almost doesn't want to even be put in the same breath as Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi because he's so far away. But right now in his career, he is where those guys were when they're 20, 21 years old.
Oh, well played point. Tomas Berdych with a change of pace, some court coverage. And see, he's got some talent. I think we'll be hearing more about this young guy, just 18 years old, 4 matches at the ATP level. It's a name to remember.
And now he has a break point.
Yes.
Which is erased immediately by the great champion.
Agassi's 4th ace on the match, but just to put a number on maybe where Andy Roddick is going to find himself in a decade from now, I don't see why there's any reason he shouldn't win a couple of Aussie Opens. I think he win another U.S. Open. So there's no reason to think, you know, his total can get 4, 5, 6 majors in his career.
That is Berdych.
Rear double fault. Andre Agassi has been very steady and conservative on serve today. That's just his first double of the match.
Well, that's been a big difference. The break points you just saw. 6 of 7 for Agassi. Berdych 0 for 2. This is number 3.
Well, that was a pretty decent return, but Agassi quickly there to cover and nail that deep to the corner. And it's a little discouraging.
Hey, I've been there. I know what it's like to be on the losing end of Agassi when he's controlling things and you just feel like you're struggling to win points because you're throwing your best stuff at him and it keeps coming back.
That is Agassi.
Deuce, and then another ace by Agassi.
But one thing we haven't seen from Berdych in this match is, you know, he hasn't shown any ability to make the transition to the net, to throw in some serve and volley. I mean, that is something I always felt you had to do against Agassi.
Again, Agassi.
Berdych thought that shot was long. Might have had a little better case on that one than on some of the others he's questioned.
It was the ones he reached the ball like this out, and you know it's 2 mistakes in one game.
Yeah, I mean he cannot afford, and this is Berdych, and Shot Spot says that ball was right. Oh, just long, Shot Spot said.
Yeah, he was right on that one. Shot Spot confirming it.
See, Berdych can't afford to, you know, lose points. He's doing everything he can. He has to get these points, and he has to rely on these lines people. And, you know, on that one, the chair umpire, Pascal Maria, to make that overrule.
But Agassi has the game victory, 3-1, up 2 sets, and an ace from the youngster Berdych, who rebounded from his
59.
little peak there at the bad call. Comes up with an ace.
Number 7 on the match for him. Number 8, we talk about the preparation of Andre Agassi all the time and the work he's done with Gil Reyes. I was talking to Gil, and he says, you know, for each year I have been with Andre, we have a journal. I keep a journal for every day of the year. Or excuse me, I keep tabs of what goes on every day of the year. And he said, you can ask me what happened June 5th, 1996, and I can tell you exactly our workout and what we did and how Andre felt. And my point being is Agassi has his preparation down to a science with how much rest he needs, how much training he needs to do, and then he tailors his training to the surface that he's going to be playing on. He'll train differently for rebound ace than he will for red clay.
Yeah, the science has certainly worked. He's a great physical specimen in terms of any sport. 33-year-old man will be 34 at the end of April. Just in superb condition. So those training routines have obviously paid off tremendously. And the discipline that's required, that's really the key.
You know, Gil says when we're preparing for the French Open or the rebound ace where the ball bounces are a lot higher, well, we'll work on his muscles in his chest, you know, those arm muscles. Whereas when we're preparing for grass, you know what, the balls are so low, you know, we're going to work on his lower back and his legs because you have to work on staying so low on the grass. I've never heard that from any other coach or trainer on tour.
Berdych, a point from 3-2 here in the third. Second serve. Agassi steps in. Didn't get too much on it. And that's long. So Berdych holds the 3-2 here in the third set, down 2 sets to the defending champion, Andre Agassi. The kids were just absolutely delighted to be part of their activity. It's just one of the many entertainments that go on around the grounds here at Melbourne Park.
Well, you had a line of kids, you know, waiting to get in there, waiting to hit some balls.
Yeah. They've got fast serve competitions and volleying competitions and all kinds of fun stuff. And there's a big, strong forehand from Tomas Berdych, the 18-year-old Czech. Looking a little more relaxed as the match has gone on. Down 2 sets to love, but 3-2 here in the third against Andre Agassi.
One of the challenges, sorry, Tim, one of the challenges that any player faces is, and Berdych is going through this right now at 18 years old in this stage in his career, is exactly how he wants to play and how much he wants to play and what kind of preparation he wants leading into tournaments. A little help from the net court for Agassi, and the obligatory, hand up saying sorry, but he'll take it.
Another look at it. Even getting a little help from the net.
I don't think guys are actually really sorry. It's just like a courtesy.
Well, what do you
I
do when
suppose.
you played? I mean, did you do that? Did you put your hand up and?
Yeah, I did. I think I felt I had to.
Were you really sorry?
Not at all. Of course not.
That's you.
And Agassi missing an easy forehand there.
30 all. You're not going to see him miss too much from the service line with that.
No. Just a little careless, but still 30 all.
That one he made no mistake on.
40-30.
40-30. Point from 4-2 for Andre Agassi in the third set, up 2 sets. Berdych coached by a former tour player, Yaroslav Navratil. Same surname, as far as we know, not related to Martina Navratilova.
Agassi is by 4 games to 2.
And Agassi now 4-2 in the third, up 2 sets.
And that service winner there from Agassi coming in at 117 miles an hour. I mean, that's upwards of his biggest serve of the match. And he's been very content just kicking that serve in and getting the point started. Just too many errors off the racket of Berdych.
Down 2-4, and next on this court will be American Andy Roddick against Bohdan Ulirak. That's coming up next, and depending on the length of this one, of course, assuming that things continue the way they have, we would probably estimate you've got about another 15 or 20 minutes to the conclusion of this match, barring a complete breakdown by the defending champion we don't expect.
I don't see that happening. I wouldn't be surprised if Berdych right now, he's just, let's just get this thing over with. I've been beaten up enough today.
Well, that one didn't go for Agassi, and a well-played point by the youngster, Tomas Berdych from the Czech Republic.
15.
It's a very good point from him, but look how many shots he had to hit to actually get Agassi to miss.
You've got to be willing to do that when you're playing Agassi.
You know, there were times, I think, in Agassi's career, I mean, he just kind of bail out of points. If he had to run too much, he just let that ball go and conserve his energy. Now he's not concerned with that because he knows he can outlast his opponent.
Another ace, number 9 for Berdych.
40-15.
I don't think Berdych's too concerned about how soon Roddick gets out here. He's going to try and enjoy his moment in the sun against the defending champion.
There you go.
And there's a good pass for the hold. 4-3. Agassi on top and up
That
2
one as well. And Jan-Michael Gamble also in action against Grosjean. Grosjean, the Frenchman, winning the first set there. 6-4, 1 all in the second.
All right, Patrick, get out of here. Go up to the booth. You and Cliff and Mary will call the Ullrich-Roddick match.
That should be some fun. We'll see you later.
Back inside of Tim and Mal.
All right, Chris, Patrick. 4-2. Agassi serving here on the third. Trying to close out this match against Tomas Berdych.
You know, there's been times in this match where we've seen some positive play from Berdych, but from his standpoint, just too many errors, which you can't afford to do, and just not effective enough on his own serve.
Net. First service.
Agassi serving at love 15 and 4-3 in the third. A scary picture of James Blake making a dive on this hard surface. A brave move, but questionable as to whether it was worth taking the risk. Glad that he's up and playing well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back last year to the dive that Andy Roddick made in his, I guess it was his quarterfinal match against Yunus Elinau. He hurt his wrist and, you know, really couldn't play at full strength in his semifinal against Rainer Schuttler.
15 all, Agassi. Good serve, pulled him wide.
15.
Pop on that one.
But I'll make sure to tell James it wasn't a very good dive he made. I mean, if you're going to dive, you got to make the shot. You got to make the volley.
Forty 15.
Agassi rolling through this game. Get to 5-3 here in the third.
Game,
Another good wide serve and too much for Berdych.
Agassi leads by 5 games to 3.
5 games to 3.
Here's a look at Andre Agassi's serve, where he's serving. You know, you see right there in the very, very center of each box, not too many serves there. I think that's the most underutilized serve in tennis, but the yellow balls are his first serves. Not too many aces. All his aces have happened on the deuce side of the court.
6 aces for Agassi, 9 for Berdych.
But which is, you'd expect, Andre Agassi 74% first serves in.
Forehand winner from Berdych. Yeah, stepped into that one.
That 74% first serve tells us Agassi's just happy, just rolling the ball in. But we need to see more of this from Berdych, and we haven't. Nice setup. 99 miles an hour on that forehand.
Had a good serve on that point and got punished anyway. Agassi, deep forehand drive. Too good.
You know, we mentioned that Berdych was a qualifier coming into this tournament, winning his first round. Throughout Agassi's career, he's played a bunch of qualifiers at majors, 28-1 against qualifiers. The only guy he's ever lost to was Marat Safin at the French Open back in 1998.
15.
And we know what Safin is going on to do.
30-15 at 3-5 for Tomas Berdych. Next on this court, as you know, Andy Roddick will be out here, the U.S. Open champion, against Bodan Ullrich.
40-15.
And another ace by the young Czech. That's number 10.
You know, for a guy as big as he is, shot spot showing that just on the inside of the line. That is what he needed today that he did not have. and you look at that right there. That first serve came in at 125 miles an hour. Andre Agassi hits the return and immediately has the server on the defense. I mean, that's what's so intimidating about Agassi. Look where he's standing. Just a couple of feet behind the baseline. And by the time he hits the return, he's right on the baseline. And again, the same thing, 123 on that serve. Look at Agassi. You know, that's all hand-eye coordination. Very little backswing on that, just all timing.
Deuce at 3-5.
Advantage
Wide.
Berdych.
So Berdych is now a point away from 5-4.
One drill Agassi used to do is he used to have a server stand inside the service line and just drill serves at him, and he'd just stand right up there near the baseline and work on his timing, work on his reflexes.
Yes.
He used to do that as a kid. I mean, look how it's paid off for him. Best returner in the world, even at 33.
Advantage Agassi.
Long from Berdych. And here is the match point. First of the match for Andre Agassi.
I mean, at that point, Berdych is hitting the ball literally with everything he has, and even the balls he hits out, he sees coming back at him. I mean, he will no doubt gain a lot of experience from this match.
Well, there's one consolation is he knows we won't be facing another returner like Agassi anytime soon. Delivers an ace. Has 11.
Yes.
Wiping out the match point. Good effort by Berdych.
That was one of those situations where he says, what do I have to lose? You know, the conclusion is already, you know, decided.
He could have
Why
said
not
that
go
right
for
at
a serve?
in the first game, actually, of the match, taking the same viewpoint. He was nervous early.
Yeah, but I mean, we thought that, but first game of the match, he's still thinking, you know, he has a shot. He has a game plan. He's going to try to win the match.
12th base. Another good serve, and he holds, so Andre Agassi will have to serve for the match now when we return to the Rod Laver Arena. Number 1 seed Andy Roddick, U.S. Open champion, one American following another as the defending champion, will now serve for this match in the second round of men's play.
Tie.
Here's the American Airlines match summary. Look at the winners. Agassi 21, 27 for Berdych, but the big thing here is the unforced errors from Berdych and the lack of ability to break the serve of Agassi. Agassi has broken him 6 times. You will never win a men's tennis match getting broken 6 times in 3 sets.
6-love first set contributing to that start in that department for Andre Agassi, now serving for the match. Berdych slipped back there and contributed to the miss.
And way back there he is. I mean, he's a good 20 feet behind the baseline when he hit that backhand.
He's going to do a relace here. He's not in a rush to get off the court. This is his moment in the sun at the Australian Open.
And Agassi didn't know he was still back there tying his shoe. He had stepped up to the baseline, getting ready to serve.
I kind of like this kid. I tell you, he's got a little showbiz in him here. He's in no rush to leave. He had to battle to stay in here one more game, and now he's going to try and hold off Agassi's service.
You know, he's getting blown off the court in this match, Tim, but I tell you, there's 1,000 guys out there who would love to be in his position where he is right now, second round of a major. And to think that this guy, Tomas Berdych, is only 18 years old. I mean, you're going to hear a lot from this guy in the next few years.
Agassi at 30-love, and now a bunch of match points on his serve at 40-love.
40-love.
Cruise control for Andre Agassi. 2 matches going in straight sets. There it is, finishing with an ace. The champion playing like one. eliminates 18-year-old Tomas Berdych of the Czech Republic and moves on to the third round of this Australian Open in defense of his title. And so you can see the encouragement that Laver gave to the youngster, something that Tomas Berdych will take back to the Czech Republic as a memory of this appearance against the defending champ.
And you can see Andre Agassi, even, you know, the straight sets convincing winner, love 2 and 4. You can see the excitement on his face that he is through to the third round to play either Thomas Enquist or Carol Beck. I mean, but really a tremendous effort from Agassi to come out here and just control his opponent from the very first part of this match. You know, potentially to pay either Gustavo Kuerten or maybe even Peridon Shrichapan in the round of 16. But Andre Agassi looking very impressive. This is the kind of victory that he likes to have. He likes to feel like he is dominating his opponents, like he's rolling through guys, and that is really